Hello everyone, it's Matt here again, and today we're going to be looking at my Britpop vinyl collection. I don't think I've made a Britpop video before, at least not one that was exclusively about Britpop, and we're just going to dig through the albums. I've pulled them all out. I think they should be in alphabetical order by artist, hopefully, if I've sorted them correctly. And I've excluded a few albums that maybe fell more into the sort of Manchester category, which sort of predated Britpop. So the likes of Primal Scream and you know, one or two others, and I've also excluded some which really fall more into like alternative rock. So Radiohead would be a good example of that. Who they were around during the Britpop era, and although maybe there's a bit of an overlap, for me they're really more alt rock than Britpop. So let's dive right in, and we'll have a look at the album. So first up, we've got Black Grape. It's great when you're straight, yeah. Probably a slightly controversial album title. I don't know if it was back in the day, but it is a really good album. Reverend Black Grape and In the Name of the Father are probably two of the better songs on here. But yeah, this actually is a bit of a hard album to get hold of on vinyl. At least it was the last time I checked. I happened to get it a number of years ago when, you know, it was still available for a reasonable price. But now I think it hasn't been repressed, so it's going for a bit more money. Next up, we have Bluetones, Expecting to Fly, and I love the artwork on this. Look at that. Apologies for the glare from the light there, but yeah, I love the artwork. Beautiful. The big hit on this was Slight Return, which was a big hit in the UK. There's the back of it, and this is from '95, I think, 1996, which is really kind of the height of Britpop. I would say 95, 96 was the height of Britpop. Moving on to Blur, I have 3 Blur albums. First up is Leisure, and that's a great picture. I don't remember who this is. I remember I read about it, who this lady was, and now I've forgotten. But this is a slightly, I don't know, maybe rare is too strong of a word, but slightly harder to find record because it's on turquoise vinyl. This was the 25th anniversary. I'm not going to pull the records out just because there's quite a few to get through, and we'll be here forever. But this predates Blur getting really, really big, okay, because they were huge at one point. So this album came out in '92, I believe it was. 92 or 93. The big hits on here, or the songs that people at least might have heard of, would be She's So High and There's No Other Way. I think both of those had single releases. And the next Blur album, well, there should be another one. There should be Park Life, which will go in between Leisure and this next one, but I don't actually have Park Life, but I do have The Great Escape. So this came out in '95. Park Life would have come out in '94, I think. But another one where we've got really nice artwork. I always like that. And several big hits on here. The biggest one by far was Country House. That was a number 1 in the UK. There was a very, at least at the time, sort of famous battle between Blur and Oasis. They both had singles that came out, I don't know if it was exactly the same day, but it was around the same time, like the same week. So Oasis were releasing Roll With It, and Blur were releasing Country House. This was the latter half of 1995. I don't remember the month, but anyway, Blur ended up winning that. Roll With It got to number 2, and Country House got to number 1. I think in the end, somewhat comfortably. It wasn't that close, but this also has Charmless Man on here. It also has The Universal. Those are both single releases, so great album. Next we have Blur's self-titled album. This is from '97, I think. It doesn't say. It's got a 2012 copyright on here just because that's when it was remastered. But yeah, I think this is from '97. This is another one. I love the artwork on this. The color of it and the movement. It's nice. Now this does have what I would consider to be Blur's most well-known song, which is Song 2, or at least the riff from that is their most well-known bit of music, I would say. But it also contains Beetle Bum. On Your Own is on here as well. Those were both strong single releases, and yeah, great album. Next up, this is one of my all-time favorite Britpop albums. This is a great album. This is Cast or Change from 1995. I'm not sure if this has been repressed. This is an original 95 pressing, which isn't that cheap. It's maybe not as expensive as you would think, as I don't think it's been repressed, but it was a limited edition. You can see there's a number on the back there. I've got number 8,921. The fact that there's a leading zero suggests that there were at least 10,000 of these pressed. I don't know how many, because of course this was in 95, where vinyl was getting really, I mean, it was basically dead. It was all CDs by that point, and the cassettes were still kind of clinging on for dear life, but vinyl was pretty much dead by 95, so maybe somewhat unusual to get vinyl pressings of some of the albums around that time, but this has got a bunch of single releases on it. All Right, it's a great song. Fine Time, Sandstorm was another single release, and I think Walk Away got a single release as well, but the album version on here of that song is a little bit different, so good stuff. Next up we have On by Echobelly. It's another one. I love the color of this. It's a little bit of a shame in a way that the vinyl is just black and not orange to match it, because we got a lot of orange, but I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. It would just be kind of a cool thing. But it's a Music on Vinyl reissue from 2018, I think. And best songs on here, well, King of the Curb I think was the biggest hit on here, but my favorite song by far is Dark Therapy, which did get a single release, but it's a great song with a great chorus. And nice to have a female lead singer as well, because most of these, I think there's one or two exceptions in here, but most of them have male lead singers, which I guess was, I mean, I guess maybe that's still the way, right, for most bands, but it is nice to have a little bit of a change there. Next up we have Jollification by the Lightning Seeds, and this one, out of all the ones I'm showing you, I'd say this album skirts the sort of finest line between whether it's Britpop or not Britpop, because I could see why some people would say no, it's just pop music, but I always considered it Britpop, and I did look it up real quick before starting this video, and I guess the likes of Discogs and Wikipedia consider it Britpop too, so I'll take it. But I love the strawberries on the front and the back, different colors. It's neat. And this is actually signed by Ian Brody, the lead singer, right there. He when they reissued this album several years ago, if you ordered it through the Lightning Seeds website, you could get a signed copy. And I remember there was a video floating around. They put it on social media, I think, maybe, of him sitting on like stairs, just with a whole stack of records next to him, like signing the cover, next one. So nice to get a signed copy, and these suddenly are not so common. You used to find these on eBay reasonably often, and every now and then I check, and I very rarely see the signed version anymore. So nice to have that. Oh, and I was going to say, going back to Jollification, the most well-known song on here is probably Marvelous. And I mean, there were several hits. I think Perfect had a single release. Lucky You is a great song as well. My favorite song on here is probably, well, I don't know. Lucky You is good. I'm not sure what my favorite one is, but anyway, if you find it, I would recommend that album. Next up, another female singer, which is nice. This is Lush and Lovelife. Now, this is actually from a box set they put out a few years ago, but I spotted this, and I thought, oh, I'm going to grab that. I think it's on clear vinyl, if I remember. No, it's actually pink. It's on pink vinyl, okay. And this is a great album. There's the back of it. There are some single releases on here. Lady Killers was a pretty big hit. I think Single Girl had a release as well. There's a great duet with Jarvis Cocker of Pulp on a song called Ciao. And my favorite song on here might be Tra La La. It's got an amazing guitar solo in it. But the whole album is just great. So again, highly recommended if you can find that. This one's more common on vinyl. Even ones from the box set. If you go on eBay, I bet there's a few on there. All right, they were mentioned earlier, but here they are. Here's the Big Daddy of Britpop, and it's Oasis. And I have 4 of their albums. I have Definitely Maybe, and all of these are more recent reissues. They're not original, to the '90s. And I mean, what's to say? A bunch of big songs on here. Live Forever's on here. Supersonic, Cigarettes and Alcohol was a pretty big hit. That a single release. Shaker Maker is on here. Rock and Roll Star, which I think Rock and Roll Star they've used to open quite a few of their gigs. Not that I've ever been to one. But next up we have its follow up. What's the story? Morning Glory, and I think in a way there's some debate about whether this is a better album or Definitely Maybe is a better album, and a lot of people would say Definitely Maybe, and I kind of understand that. Definitely Maybe is a little maybe closer to Oasis kind of roots as far as the style of music. Some of their songs, you could argue, as time went on, got a little bit overproduced and a little bit grandiose compared to where they started, which you can kind of see here. This has Champagne Supernova on it, which is a great song, but there's also Roll With It is on here, which we talked about earlier. Wonderwall, there you go, everybody knows that. Don't Look Back in Anger is a great song. Some might say that was a UK #1 as well. So in terms of kind of the hits, this is probably the go-to Oasis album. I also have Be Here Now right there. Now, this one really did veer into being a little bit overproduced. The songs are just too long on this. There's several songs on here that are, I think there's a couple that are 6 or 7 minutes long. The run times aren't listed on here, but it does have a number of hits on it. Do You Know What I Mean was a big hit. Stand By Me, which is a long song actually. All Around the World is on here too. So I do like it. I don't think it's as good as their first 2 albums, but I do like it. I like the artwork though. That's cool. We have one more Oasis album, which is Don't Believe the Truth. This was actually sent to me several years ago by I don't know if he still watches my videos, but he was a gentleman who very kindly sent me a bunch of records, including this one. Lila is on here, which was a big, it might have been a #1, I don't remember. The Importance of Being Idle is on here, as is Let There Be Love, that had a single release as well. So I probably, out of the 4 I have, this will be the worst one, but that doesn't mean it's a bad album. It is a good album with several really good songs on it. All right, now we come to it. My all-time favorite Britpop album. I think this is better than Lush. I think it's better than Cast. And it's their best album by Country Mile, I think. And that is Pulp, Different Class. This is an amazing album. Every single song in here is good, which is, to me, in my experience, is fairly unusual. Most albums, even if you really like the album, there's usually 1 or 2 songs, right, where you kind of think, yeah, that was just kind of a filler track and it was just okay. Or every single song is good on this. The most famous song easily is Common People. That was a huge hit. But it also has Disco 2000. That had a single release. Sorted for Ease and Wiz is on here. I think Misshapes might have had a single release too. I don't remember. But this was a limited edition. It's on peach vinyl. It was limited to 1,000 copies. You guys can see it there. It just happened to be the way it worked out. I didn't have the album vinyl several years ago and wanted it. And I think this is on Amazon. And it was it was barely more expensive than buying kind of just a regular version. I thought, if it's limited to 1,000, maybe it's going to be worth more money one day. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but anyway, this again is easily my favorite Britpop album. It's just, to me, it's kind of a masterpiece, which made their follow-up a little bit disappointing, which is This Is Hardcore. It's a decent album. I like a number of the songs on here. The title track, This Is Hardcore, Help the Aged is good. I also really like A Little Soul as well. So it does have a number of good songs on it. It's just, it was a little bit of a darker departure from Different Class. And by the way, Different Class, and in many ways, is kind of a dark album, right? You listen to it, by the time you finish listening to it, you feel kind of sleazy. It's a dirty album. There's a lot of songs on here which are sort of about sex or about, not that not that that's sleazy, but you know, about I don't know, just there's a song about a bed, this woman and what she, you know, and there's a song on here called Underwear, and one of my favorite songs on here is actually is it Monday Morning? Let me think. No, but that is a good song. But no, I Spy, which is about a guy that's essentially bragging about how he's been having an affair with this married woman, but it's directed at the husband of the woman, like, you know, about what he's been up to. Anyway, so, but this in a way is actually darker in many ways. This is hardcore. It's just a different tone to it. Yeah. Alright, we're getting reasonably close to the end. I know this is starting to drag on a little bit, but I'm trying to get through it quick. Next up we have the Verve, not to be confused with the Verve Pipe, who I do like, but are an American rock band. So, Northern Soul. I'm trying to think if this was their first album or not. So, and I just say that because, like, the two Pulp albums I showed you, Different Class was not Pulp's first album. They had several albums that predated it, but it was arguably the huge breakthrough album, I guess you could say. I don't remember about Verve, but I remember that Oasis were big fans of the Verve, and they commented quite, you know, quite well. They were very complimentary to the Verve. This, let's see, this has what songs are on here? History was the big song, which I think did have a single release. That's just a lovely song. It really is. And then the follow-up album. This was the really, really big one, Urban Hymns, which came out, I think, in 96 or 97. Yeah, well, this has Bittersweet Symphony on it. This has The Drugs Don't Work. It has Sonnet, which I think is an underrated song. Lucky Man, that was a big top 5 hit in the UK. And, yeah, this is I don't know, I was going to say I got this not that long ago. It actually was a few years ago, but it's a Capitol Vault release. So it's a more recent repress. Alright, next up we have, now this one again, I sort of straddled the line a little bit on this, because this is Travis, which really is what would be better called post-Britpop, but I'm going to include it because it's close enough. And this is another one of my all-time favorite Britpop albums. This is an amazing album. Every single song is good on this, and several of them are just terrific. And the big sort of hits on here were Why Does It Always Rain on Me and Driftwood. But my favorite songs on here, I don't know, I really like The Fear. That's got a great guitar song. Writing to Reach You is a really nice song. A lot of their songs as well, to me, are in slightly unusual keys. It's kind of hard to describe, but they're just surprising in a nice way. Funny thing about this one is this version of this pressing was one that they only sold at Travis concerts, because it hadn't had a vinyl release, and the only way you could get it, back when I bought this years ago, was you know, from one of their concerts. And now, I mean, I got this from eBay, but it was somebody who had been to one of their concerts and got it. It was still sealed, but so it wasn't particularly cheap. I want to say it was about $70, which, you know, it's you know, not a small amount of money. And of course I bought it, and then a few months later they announced that they were going to reissue or they were going to do a full pressing on a double. This is a single album. They were going to do a full double album sort of repressing of this album, The Man Who, which was a little bit annoying because of course it was like half the price of what I paid for that, but that's okay. I also have another Travis album, The Invisible Band, and this is another one where most of the songs are really good on this. Dear Diary is a great song, it's a second song. Sing was a big hit. Flowers in the Window, I think, had a single release as well. And it's just, it's a lovely album. It really is. I'm a big fan. I think, is it Fran Healy who's the lead singer? Travis? I think so, yeah. And this is a more recent reissue. I got this, trying to see, 2001, but that's just, okay, yeah, that's about 2.5 years ago. This was repressed. Okay, we also have Smart by Sleeper. And it's a funny thing, it is a decent album. It's not one of my favorite Britpop albums. I'm trying to think what other well-known albums on it. In Betweener, I think. might be the most well-known song, but I love the artwork on it. This is like the Mercury 7, right? The Mercury astronauts. That's just it's just beautiful. Look at that. There's the back of it. Back of it's a little plainer, but yeah, this is a double album, 25th anniversary sticker on it there, and yeah, I just had to pick it up. So next up, this is I think the one and only picture disc that I'm going to show. I'm going to take it out the sleeve. Well, maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's okay. And that is Spiders by Space, and it's a bit of an unusual album. There's the back of it. It looks kind of cool spinning it, you know. But yeah, it's a little bit of a strange album. Just, I don't know. I always found their songs to be a bit unusual, just in the way they sounded, the way they were structured. I don't know. It was just very distinctive sound. Neighborhood was a pretty big hit. That's the opening track. Female of the Species, I love that song. That's on here as well. As is Me and You versus the World. That had a single release too. I'm just trying to see if there's any other single releases. Dark Clouds is on here too. That was a single release. So this I think was yeah, it's just a record store day 2016 release. You guys can see that right there. So yeah, good stuff. The last band I'm going to show is Suede. I have two of their albums. I have their self-titled albums. It was from 92 or 93. I'm trying to see if it says 93. Okay. The big hit on here was Animal Nitrate. But other good stuff on here as well. So Young is a really good song. Metal Mickey's on here. That might have had a single release actually for Metal Mickey. Again, nice artwork on that one too. And I also have another Suede album which is coming up, which is from a couple of years later. It's from 95, 96. This had more hits on it. So Trash was a big hit. It also has Beautiful Ones. It has Saturday Night is on here, which is a really nice song actually. It also has Film Star and She, and I'm trying to think if either of those had a single release. I'm not sure. I knew the songs, so maybe, but yeah, this was again on Demon Records. Nothing, you know, it wasn't like a record store day release or anything. It was just happened to be the company that published it. But and finally, I'm going to show a quick compilation. I have shown this before, but since I'm doing a Britpop video, I'll just show it real quick. Which is Caught Beneath the Landslide, the other side of Britpop and the 90s. And it's 26 tracks across 2 LPs, 180 gram vinyl. I mean, I guess nowadays so much vinyl is at 180 grams that it's almost become a little bit of an irrelevant selling point. But anyways, yeah, it says the soundtrack to renowned photographer Kevin Cummins' book While We Were Getting High, which of course is a reference to Champagne Supernova by Oasis, While We Were Getting High. Lost tracks, hard to find versions, obscure B-sides, remixes, and live recordings. So, and it has a lot of the artists are well known on here, even if you don't know the songs. So, Blur on here, Suede, Elastica, Echobelly, Gene, remember there, yeah, Menswear, Lightning Seeds, Ride, Boo Radley's, Ash, Dodgy, Lush. Oh, with Chow, yeah, the Jarvis Cocker duet. That's nice. Pulp, Primal Scream. I wouldn't really regard Primal Scream as being Britpop, but that's a song Jailbird, which doesn't immediately ring a bell. Maybe that was a bit of a later release and it was Britpop. We have Paul Weller versus Portishead, Radiohead's on here, Supergrass, the Bluetones, Charlatans. Oh, I do have a Charlatans Greatest Hits, or Best Of, which I didn't show, but anyway. Sleeper's on here, Oasis is on here with a mix of Champagne Supernova, Cooler Shaker's on here. So it's got some really, really good artists on here. And it's a nice listen. You know, they're all sort of, a lot of them are, yeah, it's all sort of B-sides or album tracks. There's a couple of live songs on here. Just the sort of stuff you wouldn't normally find on like a 90s compilation, for example. So there we have it. That's the Britpop collection. I've no doubt that at some point, as I'm putting a record away or getting one out, that I'll find one or two Britpop albums and I'll be like, oh, I didn't show those. I forgot I had it. But that's it. That's the Britpop collection. So there are a few missing ones. There's one or two Oasis ones I wouldn't mind getting, like Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. and for example, and that Blur Park Life. That's definitely a missing one that I would quite like to get, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with what's there. So, all right, what time we got? 25 minutes. Okay, well, honestly, it didn't take as long as I thought it would. So, thank you for sticking with it. Always appreciate everybody who comments and subscribes. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.